Hello, all of you out there today. Russell Hill, your host of WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops. You know what? We'll just move into the next part of this. Go ahead.
Yep, I'm Charity Dunning. I'm the co-host here on What the Fixed Ops, and today we have Michael Barich, the Tennessee Titan, or and also the Fixed Ops doc. And the first question I have for you, Mike, is for people who don't know how you got the name, the Tennessee Titan. Tell us how that has happened.
Well, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, the western suburbs, and I left in 2016, went to San Antonio, Texas for a few years, and then got to Tennessee in 2019. I hang out with a bunch of guys on Sunday morning from Service Drive Live, and my buddy Joe Chambers nicknamed me the Tennessee Titan. So from there, we put the motherfucking part in front of it because it fits. And you know, that's how that happened.
Yeah, it does. You know, so now for those of you who don't know, we have a much larger following, and I love this word. I've used it already, sphere of influence. And we all humbly are truly grateful for the audience that we have and all the likes, loves, shares, etc. But Mike was like the second or third, maybe fourth, I don't know, WTF that we did, you know, as Charity and I were, you know, figuring out, you know, what to do, how to do it, so on and so forth. But Michael was actually, at that time, he was a client. Okay. And I'm going to say this. I know he would say it because he's certainly not shy, because Michael Barich, the MFTT, the mother Tennessee Titan, and a lot of bleeping going on there. 2 years in a row, Murfreesboro Nissan, number one, not in the county, not in the city, not in the state, in the frickin' country, in parts, customer pay, parts and labor, and tire sales. And that doesn't just happen, particularly, you know, 2.5 or 3 years before that, when he first came to work there, he was at the bottom of the poll. And I met him, or we met him shortly thereafter. But since then, he has left and started his own company, consulting company called FixedOPS Doc. And, you know, if you're ailing, which a lot of you out there are, you got to be prepared for somebody like Michael Barich, because he's a winner and he's just going to flat out tell you the truth. And there's not going to be any song and dance. There's not going to be any whitewashing. He's going to dig right into it, and you're going to see and hear some things that you may not be prepared to hear. So I wanted to plug you that way, because that's how much we love you and think about you, and all the people out there. You mentioned Joe and Eric with SDL and all those followers, and Dave Foy and the mastermind and all those people, etc. But you have a reputation out there, and that sphere, since we first visited with you, we've become very good friends and strategic partners as well. But that sphere has really like mushrooms. So tell us what's happened with Michael Barich, the MFTT, in the last 1.5 years. Catch us up.
Well, first of all, thank you both for having me. The relationship that we've been able to cultivate over the last 3 years plus is really something that I'm very grateful for. So first and foremost, thank you for that, Russell. Charity, you as well. You're not getting out of this without
oh, she's a stud, Michael.
Appreciation.
Studist, however you say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've also been a great friend and a great asset. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys. What's changed in my life is I had a life-changing event at the beginning of 2022. And it's my second life-changing event I've had in the last 8 years. So it's really forced me to kind of reconsider what's important to me. And at the end of the day, I chose my health over my profession, and I walked away from the dealership in April of last year. With the time off, I decided that I would pivot and create my own automotive marketing, digital marketing, and consulting company. And I think that, you know, I'm a high-level fixed ops director, that I've been able to have a lot of success throughout my career. And I just want to be able to share that with other people, because most people don't have as much experience as I do as it relates to parts or service. I came up through the parts department. So as a fixed ops director, I speak parts, and I speak service, and I speak leadership, and I speak all of those languages.
Nice.
Well-
So the FixedOPS Docs is now a consulting company. So tell us about your process when you go into a dealership. What does that look like? What is sort of the recipe that you put together?
Well, I believe that the success in a fixed ops portion of the dealership is predicated on good people and good process. So the first thing I would look at are just what's happening. Is service reception and write up the same between customer to customer? Is there a service delivery process in place that's similar? Are the employees engaged or not engaged? Are they paying attention to their cell phone, or are they greeting a customer with a smile and saying, welcome?
Yeah.
So
True.
that would be the first thing I would do. Prior to that, I would be looking at some financial statement information. At the end of the day, I think as a successful fixed ops director, the report card is the financial statement, and that's one of the things I take the most pride in. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but those would be two areas I would start at.
Well,
Okay.
you got to start someplace and analyze. And I know that, we, and all the different things that we've been involved with together and gotten to know each other. And, back then you were a client and an associate, and now you're, I can actually say you're a friend. Okay. Because of the interaction, the time we spend together and whatnot. But this isn't just one area. This just isn't lines or effective labor rate or scheduling or not scheduling service. This is about leadership. This is every facet from the time they drive. This is about transparency. And so when we talk about those kind of things, and I know this one topic can be really controversial. I know a lot of you are big into scheduling appointments. I personally have horror stories with scheduling appointments. First of all, they don't come off on time. They're not ready for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Michael, you did away with it. Tell us why you did away with scheduling appointments.
We are passionate about helping consumers find a great, trusted place to get their car fixed. We have 4 million uniques who come to our website each month for car repair information, and we help them find our REPAIRPAL certified locations. We also have amazing partners like USAA that offer our REPAIRPAL certified network to their customers and members. So how are we going to help dealers? Well, dealers sell 100% of the cars, but over time, after the warranty expires, the repairs go up and the revenue potential goes up, but people keep leaving the dealer over time after the warranty. By years 10 or 12, only about 20% of people are still servicing at the dealer. Why is that? There's one dominant reason, and that is price perception. And being REPAIRPAL certified helps you overcome the primary price perception problem. So come let us show you how REPAIRPAL can help you too.
I finally swallowed the pill the bitter pill I didn't want to admit to after probably 28 years in the business. I can't control the service drive. We had a very significant demand of customers. And when you're pushing them off or putting them out because we're trying to make it convenient to us, that's not creating relationships with customers. So I decided to like peel back the onion and find out where the hiccups were, if you will, where are the hurdles. And it really just came down to having enough people, whether it was people to answer phones, advisors to greet them, parts personnel to take care of our technicians, and then ultimately having enough technicians. I took our express department, which had 4 express technicians in it when I got there, to having 16 by the time I had left. And that's a well-oiled machine. So, I think what I know customers want is they want service when it's convenient for them. And so many customers just pull into the dealership because they have a need or
Sure.
a want. And, the needs need to be recognized. So I just decided that I was going to get away from scheduling appointments, which was a difficult transition because customers had been conditioned and were calling in to schedule appointments. So we just told them, hey, listen, we've transitioned away from it. We're providing express maintenance today. We're going to do it in 60 minutes or less, or we'll pay for your next service. So I did it with intent and purpose and put my money where my mouth was to be able to deliver an experience to a customer that was worth talking about. I mean, at the end of the day, we had a very horrible reputation in our marketplace. And I would tell you the quickest way to change that perception is word of mouth. And we were able to do it quickly. And then we became, frictionless. I wouldn't say completely frictionless, but we made the whole service experience much easier and more convenient for the customer. This is a really crazy story because when I got there, they had conditioned customers to the point where they would pull in the service drive and they would just kind of roll down the window and ask one of the service advisors on the way in, how long is it going to take for an oil change? And the advisors would answer them, it'd be like 2 hours. Well, the customer would just drive right out the door and it was normal. And so obviously I put a halt to that process issue immediately. We had to figure out a way to take care of our guests, period.
Yeah. So you did it like a McDonald's drive-through. Once you're in, you can't leave.
Well, once we're in, we're just going to treat you so well that you're not going to want to leave.
Right. I understand. Oh, how
So
funny.
you mentioned something about express service. I know where my son works at, he works at a local Ford dealership, well established, well-oiled machine. They got that quick lane separate express, right? And the main shop is used for other types of things where people have to leave but the express is where they do tires and rotates and balances and brakes and oil changes and fluid flushes and things of that nature. Is that what express service is, or is it more?
No, that is express service.
Okay.
I think, the easiest way to correlate express with whatever manufacturer is, it's mirroring their maintenance schedule. So any minor service, whether it be at 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles, some of the other manufacturers even extending beyond that today, believe it or not. But the reality is most of those services is a tire rotation or oil change and tire rotation with a brake inspection. And we have to be very respectful of customers' time, because I think traditionally the automotive industry, in particular the dealer world, has punished customers for lengthy wait times that are not convenient and don't make them comfortable. And I think, that's where all the aftermarket entities were born out of. They were our customers to begin with. We just couldn't figure out a way to take care of them. There's a few other services that are associated with that, like air filters, cabin air filters, wiper inserts, batteries, could be tires. Depends. Now there could be an express level 1, which is just the basic services. You could have an express level 2 where you're taking care of some of those items like replacing tires, replacing batteries, replacing some bulbs, but then just kind of defining what your express service looks like if you're having it in different levels. And then anything else needs to go to the main shop, because we've got journeyman technicians that have families that are counting on them to be able to take care of them comfortably, right? So we want to provide the best opportunity for those guys to make a great living and reward them for their hard work and effort. But the express portion allows us to take entry-level people that might not have that experience and teach them the automotive industry. My opinion, it's one of the best industries in the world.
From the perspective of people wanting to get into the industry as a career, would you say it's one of the best industries?
highly recommend it. I think that there's two main constants in fixed operation. It's constant change and continuous education. So if you want to continue to hone your skills and grow, what else would you want as a key performance indicator? You know, the models change, the technology changes, the service intervals change. I mean, just so many things that change, that you're always growing. It forces you to grow, even for those that may not necessarily want to get uncomfortable. It forces you towards that. And then it's up to you on how much you want to receive and then how much you want to give, right?
So do you need a college degree, Michael, for those that will catch this portion of this?
No, sir.
And could you give us a range of what somebody could make, and starting at and up to, and a lot of that training would be provided by the dealership itself, wouldn't it? For somebody that's really hungry and wants to grow.
In most cases, it's all provided by the dealership, but I would say that there's an entry level pay scale for every position in the dealership, whether it's a porter, an express technician, an express advisor. There's an entry level point for a main shop advisor, but I think the earning income opportunity is off the charts. I think that the automotive industry provides some of the best pay plans and best opportunities to take care of your family. And I think that it's not spoken often enough.
I totally agree. I mean, I know that, you know, a lot of people go get degrees, come out of school. Most of them don't even work in the chosen field. And the average income is, from what now I'm not saying, I'm putting this number out there. A good technician can, I know I've talked to some that make $220,000, $230,000 a year.
God bless.
And all points in between. I mean, that's really like highline type of stuff, but I mean, someone could grow to that level, but they could certainly make more than what the average person in America makes. That's for sure.
Absolutely. With 100% certainty.
Yeah. So I think
the average person, I think the average income in America is $35,000.
It's horrible.
It's bad.
But look at inflation. I mean, this is, no, we're not going to talk politics, but yes, that is freaking horrible. Is it 35,000? Oh,
that's what
I'm thinking. I was thinking 70,000, but I was thinking 70,000. That's dual income.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're talking averages too. So the extremes really stretch it out.
So
I would call that entry level income for most of those positions, and I think like the earning opportunity beyond that is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I hear a lot of things out there. I'm a customer, okay, and I've gravitated towards you and the people that are part of SDL and Mastermind, or no, what's called 5 to Thrive now. Is that what it is?
There it is.
Where?
Can you see it above my finger?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I see it now.
I was going to tell Dave I plugged him, but nobody can see it that far
Well,
away.
he'll see it now. Dave, that's for you, brother, because we love you. Okay. No, but I've learned so much. And, you know, we talk about a lot of things. A lot of ideas are exchanged. And a lot of times I've noticed over the last, almost 3 years now, you wait sometimes, unless they purposely pull you in, you wait to listen to the chatter in the room. And then I think everybody, I expect it, and I think everybody does too, even though nobody really says it. Then they, you know, they'll say, Michael, what do you got to say about all this with TT, MFTT, whatever they're calling you? And brother, you just say it straight. And I think you pull all the nonsense out of it. Not that those other things aren't good. It's a tremendous learning process for all of us, but it's almost like that commercial that when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody does this. You have a reputation in the industry. You don't do what you do in 2.5 or 3 years and not knowing what the hell's going on. But it seems like I have heard over and over, it's the same stuff, not from the rooms we're in, but we talk to FixedOPS directors, service managers, et cetera, all over the country. And they're crying the blues. And it's almost like they have a lack of conviction. They have no leadership skills or capabilities. There, some of them are really good managers, but the extent of that is lighting a fire and threatening somebody to get them to move and do something, not really inspiring and motivate them. And consequently, we all hear it. A lot of turnover with advisors, a lot of turnover with technicians, et cetera, et cetera. But you didn't have that problem, did you, Michael?
No, sir. I've been very fortunate, and thank you for the kind words. I think, you know, we talk about defining your why, and my passion has become my purpose, and my passion is to succeed as a high-level fixed ops director, which I have, but now I need to change that from being a high-level fixed ops director to a high-level service and parts consultant. And that I'm really looking forward to. So I think that the business is simple. I think that way too many people complicate things, and it doesn't need to be that way. We need to break it down to our success is predicated on good people and good processes. If you have that, you're going to ultimately end up with a higher level of customer satisfaction. And so the good people and good processes not only deliver a higher level of customer satisfaction, but that's where the fun starts, because you start delivering a higher level of employee satisfaction. And that's really where the magic kicks in, because ultimately from there, you reduce turnover and increase profitability organically. If anybody's not and wasn't paying attention to that, I could repeat it, or you can just edit it in a second time, Charity.
No. I think you need to repeat it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our success is predicated on good people and good processes. And with that, you're going to deliver a higher level of customer satisfaction. So not only are your customers happy, but when they're happy, you're going to create a higher level of employee satisfaction, because they're not getting their teeth kicked in by the customers every day. And then the organic part of that is turnover reduces and profitability increases. It's a proven fact in the business, and I'm here to attest to it.
So let me ask you a question, Mike. If you're going in and you're consulting with a dealership, do you look for specific qualities in a leader to work with, or is that something that can be taught?
Great question, Charity.
So I love the question. There's a lot of discussion around leadership these days, and I do believe it can be taught. But you still have to have conviction to be able to be the student to receive the message. And I think that there's leadership memes or posts everywhere about good leaders empower people. They don't beat people, or they're not forcing them to do something. Well, let me just tell you that there's some of that has to happen, because as an experienced leader, when I left Chicago, I ran a company. I was there for 16 years. So I understand what it meant to empower our people and watch them grow. But when you take over a broken store like I had done in San Antonio, Texas, or I did here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I mean, those stores are troubled for a reason. There's a reason why they're looking for a new manager or a new fixed ops director. And in a lot of cases, it's a byproduct of the tail wagging the dog, or the Indians running the asylum, and someone has to call attention to that. So where I think leadership comes in is it's malleable. Like, I have to come in and establish what the culture and vision of the store is going to be like, and then I need to make sure that everybody in the store, whether it's a porter, an advisor, a technician, understands their roles and responsibilities. And nothing happens on the customer side or a higher level of employee satisfaction until people can execute what their roles are at the dealership. And where I think I see a lot of younger people, or even some experienced leaders or managers in the business, struggle is with the accountability factor. So if the employee isn't pulling their weight, then we need to dig in and find out why. We can coach them if necessary, or we can counsel them and make sure that they understand these are the missing pieces from what I see based on your report card, which might be a byproduct of manufacturer surveys. It could also be key performance indicators that we're measuring, because I believe that in order to have a successful fixed ops team, you have to have key performance indicators, and I measure just about everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, you mentioned something after Charity asked the question. You mentioned the word at least a couple times. Find out why. There's the why again. And it could be from a council. They need somebody to talk to. They got something personal going on in their life. But what I found about you is that you can be rather, you can have a tremendous amount of conviction, not in general. I'm talking about you specifically, Michael, where you have a tremendous amount of conviction. And I think people where the tail wags the dog, it's like kids. Okay. They say no, or they don't want to do something and they're not held accountable. But in all actuality, even into adulthood, people want to be led, Michael. They really do want to be led. They just need somebody to take charge that has that conviction. Somebody they look up to and say, okay, I get it now, man. I've been running a circle here. I want to move forward, and this guy's going to help me get there.
Well, I think it starts inherently out of the womb. I mean, Charity, you have two beautiful young boys at home, and I'm certain they have like a basketball net and a little tiny basketball. What happens when they jam that thing through the net? Instinctively with the boys, either one of them, both of them for that matter, they smile, they're excited, they're like, yay!
Yeah, exactly. I love that analogy.
So if they take the little square block and put it through the square hole instead of the round one, they get excited. They're jumping up and down and dancing. And I'm not going to do any of that because I've got 2 left feet and 0 rhythm.
You're working on the rhythm though, aren't you, Michael?
I am.
Well, I like to pivot just a little bit because something you said earlier reminded me of a couple other interviews that we've had on charging labor for wiper blade installation. Now, it may sound silly coming out of my mouth, but it was very heated online. And I'm curious, what do you think on that?
I would say that I was raised by good parents. I was schooled by good teachers, and I think this becomes an ethical, moral issue. So that's not rocket science. It's part of a necessity for the customer to be able to see clearly.
Yeah.
And we already had the stigma that we're overpriced and least convenient. I would never charge to replace wiper blades. I would never charge to replace wiper blade inserts. And I haven't charged to replace either of those items for the last 30 years. So my opinion is, since you asked, if the dealership is relying to increase their fixed absorption at the store by charging 1/10 or 2/10 to put on a pair of wipers, they're in for a long uphill battle. And, you know, there's different train of thoughts, but I think that, again, it's my own opinion that I would never charge for that.
Well, I'm a damn customer and I don't want you charging me for it. Okay. Cause it only takes seconds, right?
Correct.
Right. We got some feedback that wiper blades these days are, there's 15 pieces and you have to puzzle them together and it takes a little time. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of different perspectives on it.
If you can help identify who those people are, I can probably go purchase one of those little kids games with that little square peg and the round ball, and I'll send it to them so they have the ability to practice after hours. It's not that complicated. Give me a break.
No,
that'd be like charging. That would be like charging you an additional fee to wait in line to pay your bill at Starbucks or McDonald's or one of those fast food places that I don't visit.
You don't have Big Mac attacks or anything like that ever?
Russell, I might be one of the only people on the planet that's never had a Big Mac. I've never had a Big Mac or a Whopper.
My, you heard it right here.
Wow.
Never had a Big Mac, man. Well, you're not really missing out on much.
You're part of the 0.01% club.
I'd like to think so.
you know, when I think you mentioned something a minute ago, man, that's the wiper blade thing. That was
I know
really
it spun
cool.
us off the road.
Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy over that. But you're transitioning to a consultant, teacher, mentor type. Not that you didn't do that when you were actually running the department, but you're on the outside. Have you found that transition to be quite different than what you? I mean, yeah.
At this point, Russell, I don't have enough experience. I've made some consulting visits to a couple of different groups, but for the last half of 2022, I really spent time focusing on me and my health. So in particular, a lot of cardio, some gym time, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I've just done a lot of work on myself, a lot of reading and a lot of self-reflecting, but putting in the work has prepared me to move forward and really provide some consulting that I think most of the dealers don't speak my language because they grew up on the variable side. They were a successful sales associate that got promoted to a manager, maybe got an opportunity to become a desk manager, a finance manager, a GSM, a GM, and then became owners. We sit in on a few of those clubhouse rooms where I won't mention names, but they've been able to work their way up to the top, including being a dealer principal and owner. And I think, you know, as it relates to Charity, your original question, like the entry level position at 35 grand to become a dealer someday, the automotive industry provides that opportunity, but you have to apply yourself. And so I think that the dealership is broken up into different departments, right? Parts, service, new, used, and finance, but it's then ultimately broke up between the variable side, which would be obviously new, used, and finance, and the fixed side. And I think that we speak different languages between the two of those. And my opinion is that the dealers that came up through those ranks to earn those positions, hats off to them, mad respect. But I think that they're in most circumstances, type A personalities, very proud, very successful, and aren't used to asking for help. So they don't want to be in a situation where someone poses a question to them, would you charge for wiper blades or not, without having an opportunity to think about that for a minute. And I just think that, you know, we need to remove the silos. It doesn't have to be variable. It doesn't have to be fixed. I'm a fan of just one team. We reside here. And I think that there's cross-training opportunities that need to happen. And I think it has to start with some of the dealers that might not be well-versed enough to walk back to your fixed ops departments and do an assessment. I'm doing great here. I'm not doing great there.
Yeah.
Or have the courage to raise your hand that I just need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Because there's guys like me that want to help. I mean, this
Yeah.
is what I'm so passionate about. And, you know, fortunately for me, I've had a ton of success doing it. So in addition to finishing #1 in the nation for the last couple of years at my Nissan store, when I left Chicago, I ran an automotive group. Like I said, that I was there for almost 16 years, but for 15 consecutive years in a row, we had won the Toyota President's Award. And for those of you that don't know what that means, it's a combination of taking care of the customer and exceeding some sales goals for the manufacturer. And so we were part of a group that's less than a handful of dealers in the nation. And, you know, what's really sad now that we're talking about this is I was back in Chicago a few months ago visiting, and I went to my old store, and in the waiting room, like behind me, are all these plaques that show, you know, parts excellence, service excellence, customer relations excellence. And it started in 2001 and it went to 2016. And coincidentally, that's when I left. They haven't won it since.
Oh,
and
my.
there isn't a 2017 to 2018 or earlier or later placard up there.
That's terrible.
Really, really sad.
That's terrible.
Yes. I imagine that you get some pushback from managers in service who don't think they need help or aren't doing, they think they're doing everything right.
There's a lot of truth to that, Charity, and I think they have to be humble enough to say I need some help. So it's different. It's different for me now because they might not work for me, but I still have to be able to educate them on why this isn't proper way of doing business. I sat in on a presentation a few hours ago that someone wanted my opinion on some FixedOPS software. And she took me through a variety of slides during a presentation, and one of them was work in process. And the repair order that happened to catch my mind was 81 days old and had 24 hours of labor charged to it. And there was no customer number on the ticket. And that screams red flag to me. And so she's like, how did you pick that out? I mean, we were blazing through a slide, and I'm in tune for stuff like that. I can see that stuff from a mile away. And you know, what my suspicions are on that one repair order is that might be a shop comeback, or it might be some type of policy adjustment because there was no customer number associated with it. But that the service manager's probably paid on gross profit and he didn't want to charge his department for it because it's going to cost him money. Like, that's ridiculous.
It is.
So
You know,
somebody needs to control that stuff.
That's crazy that you could connect those points.
Yeah, I got to tell you, when I left retail, I was a GM of a Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Plymouth. Okay, that's how long ago. And I was that proverbial variable guy, Michael. I grew up selling cars, worked my way into management, lower management, mid-level management, ended up, but I didn't know that much about fixed operations. But I learned when I was growing up in the sales cycle, I always spent a lot of time in fixed operations. I always spent a lot of time in the service drive, talking to customers before the sales department even over, walking the lot, seeing. That was just the way I was brought up. Okay. And I would always counted on somebody like you to give me the real data and find out what's going on. But I'd talk to the technicians and everything else, which brings me to a point here. You'd mentioned things, you're taking care of you the last half of 22. So the last, say, 9 months. Okay. You've been doing reading and been involved in a lot of different things, taking care of your health, cardio, and all the different things that you're doing. Has that made a difference in your perspective in life overall versus what you came from and not doing those things to doing those things now? Do you have you learned? So I guess where I'm going with this, sometimes, and I think Charity alluded to this, or maybe you did, or maybe we all did, but when somebody talk about learning more, or they don't think they need help, they're afraid to ask for it, or you say, do you think you're an effective fixed ops director on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say? And I've heard
10.
people, I would heard, but see, listen, I know, but that's the wrong answer. Because the ones that say that, they don't need any help and they know things are wrong. So when people, let's say somebody asks me on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of salesperson I am, well, I'll tell them a 2 or 3, which means I got plenty of opportunity to still grow, right? Somebody that's got it all figured out, you can't teach them a damn thing. Am I right?
Well, there's some truth to that, but my conviction is much greater. So
right.
when I said 10, it's because I consider myself one of the best fixed ops.
Well, no, you are, but you are continuing to learn, evolve, and reach out to people and listen to what they have to say. So in that regard, absolutely.
Truth be told, I started my fitness journey well before my latest health incident. So I don't know how to answer your question without reflecting back, but I'll tell you, it's necessary. You have to have the inputs to be able to get the outputs, right? So you need, knowledge is power. I talk about this all the time in the business. Like, if you don't have an answer, you need to figure out a way to get that answer. And if we want to be leaders, if we want to aspire change, if we want to help people grow and learn and perform and earn and do all the things that they need to do at a high level to take care of them and their families, then we have to feed ourselves that knowledge. And I give you a lot of credit because you are or were a variable guy that's made that shift and pivot to expand and broaden your horizons over the last 3 or 4 years between the mastermind and Service Drive Live, that I have a lot of respect for you, and not just as a friend, but as a husband, as a son, and I know recently you lost your father, but you know, all of those things outside of the workplace, you're an awesome dude. And I couldn't be happier to be having this conversation and relationship with both of you. Not to mention, let's just take this real quick to somewhere else. I think that as a fixed ops director, we have two options if we want to increase gross. One is increase dollars per repair order or increase traffic. And that's where the beauty of fixed ops marketing comes in, because that platform not only drives traffic, but will also add additional dollars per RO with additional lines per RO. And I don't think that I don't think anybody's had the product. Matter of fact, I know nobody has had the product or anything like it over my career. And so, you know, I think one of the best parts of our relationship and friendship is I was a customer. So you
were a hard ass too, but I love you, man.
Brother, I fell in love with the product. It spoke to me, and the results spoke volumes. I mean, you know, when I was able to see reporting on traffic visits to the variable side of the website, because I could get them from our website provider, right? But I could never get them on the fixed side. I never knew who went to our page. You can't get them from your website provider. It's almost impossible. But your platform and your tool allows me to see how many people are coming to look at which coupons, which videos, what's important to them. And then I was able to work with like Leanne and cater the message and change things up. And it was so simple and it was so easy.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, it should be an essential tool for every dealer on the planet.
No, it's great.
My opinion, every dealer on the planet, folks.
You heard it from the MFTT right there. No, thank you very much. There's other things. I guess I'm trying to go somewhere with this. So, I mean, I love all the different venues we're involved with too, but I also like to feed my mind in reading and listening to positive, inspirational people, because I really believe I'm not changing. I mean, look, you can't play ball yesterday. You can't play ball tomorrow. It hadn't happened yet. All you have is the present. So it's really important that we continue to feed our mind. And do you think that's an important part of your growth this last 9 months too? Because I've seen you involved in things that I don't think you were involved with before. What do you think about that kind of stuff?
I think it's necessary. I think it should be required. I think it should be requirement for everybody to start their day early, feed their mind, take care of their body, work on their spirit. I think. Oh,
for heaven's sake, stay away from the friggin' Big Macs too. Okay, go ahead.
And stay away from the Big Macs. Absolutely. So I think that should be a morning routine for everybody. And I think that life gets in the way of having that intentionality. And when you pull the curtains back, I mean, I have to be able to look in the mirror and say, did I put my best foot forward today? Was I the best person I could possibly be? And it starts with me. I can't make an excuse to anybody else. I can't look in the mirror and go, well, I mean, it just doesn't work.
No. So we're some of the stuff I'm talking about. So, and I don't know exactly when it happened, but I'm up very early in the morning, and I'm online with Glenn Lundy, Breakfast Champions, 800% Club, etc., starting at 4:30. And all of a sudden I start seeing Michael pop into this room. You know, it's like, and we're talking, you know, people are still sleeping. And then after that, we get out because that's till 5:30, and somewhere about 6, I hop into modern day car sales. Love it. I mean, it's a great way for me to get started. I'm going somewhere with the modern day car sales. And then we'll get into Fred and Lou stuff, you know, room for improvement and, you know, other type stuff. And during that time, I do reading and stuff like that as well. And don't eat Big Macs, but I do eat eggs and bacon sometimes in the morning. But so the other day, Michael started popping in on, and I don't know if it's something that I inspired or whatever the case may be, but he popped into modern day car sales. I happened to not be there that day, but I have, you know, mentioned him in there before, and there was a GM. and they're talking about, Michael, you make sure you correct me if I'm wrong, but a 30% close rate on brake jobs or something like that. And Michael got up on this. I mean, I found out after the fact, I heard it, he got in there, he talked for like 30 minutes with Brian Kramer and other people that were in that room, and why 30 or 40% is a horrible freaking job. Tell us why, Michael.
So back to your question about expanding your mind and working on yourself, right? So I have been a student of the game, and I always have been. I've been a student for life, and I want to thank you for helping me through today with that journey. So I participate in all of those forums, and I think I've been very cautious about, especially in modern day car sales, about sharing my opinion and viewpoints. But it started a few weeks ago when they happen to be talking about service closing rates, and I'm listening intently, and I'm listening, and I'm listening, and I'm listening, and I don't like what I'm hearing.
I know that's right.
It came up again, and first and foremost, I applaud those executive managers, dealer principals, and general managers for discussing it. They're in tune. So don't take what I'm about to say next, but I think that unfortunately our industry has set mediocrity for like the ceiling of benchmarks. And I just don't think it has to be that way anymore. And so the conversation was about closing rates, and some guys were talking about 30%, a little bit more, a little bit less. Some of those dealers had pivoted to have video presentation part of their MPI, and their closing rates, they were ecstatic about it, that they had gone up to 50 or 60%, which is a great improvement, but that's a technology improvement, right?
Right.
Sharing with customers through technology. And so what I had said to them when I popped up there and jumped in was, let's just say you have 10 customers come into your dealership tomorrow that need brakes. Their brakes measured through the multi-point inspection. They're at 2 or 3 millimeters. What do you think a good closing rate should be for those 10 customers? So there's a little bit of discussion associated with that, but my opinion is that number has to start with an 8 and maybe even a 9. I don't think you can bat 1,000. I don't know anybody that has, but really customers say no to you based on time, price, or trust. And I think that we've always had the horrible perception because we charged for wiper blade inserts to be put on that were more expensive and least convenient. So I feel like after running an automotive group for 16 years, I installed that same offense at the other 5 stores we bought. I also did it in Texas, and I brought it here to Tennessee, that it's duplicatable, right? So I think the difference between closing a sale, and I'm not talking about closing through pressure, I'm talking about closing through education.
It's
making
right.
sure that the customer understands the value we're providing for the service being rendered, and making sure that they understand we're competitively priced in our marketplace. Like we're providing quality service at an affordable price. And I did this with a customer just before I left the dealership, where I had an office adjacent to one of our sales associates, and there was 2 really nice ladies in there, and one of them had a nice young boy with him. And so they were joking about something. So I had to pop my head in there and say hello and ask them if they had any questions as they were entertaining purchasing a vehicle. And it just so happens that one of the ladies that wasn't looking to purchase a car had a Maxima, and she said, well, how much are brakes? And I shot her a price. I said, to do your typical brake service, and it'll include this, is X amount of money. And she said, why so much? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, that sounds really expensive. And I said, compared to what?
Yeah, right.
Come with me. And I took her in my office, and we pulled up a third-party vendor that I've also strategically.
Say it out loud.
REPAIRPAL, baby.
Come on, baby.
This is another essential tool for every dealership on the planet. So I just took her right to our website, because I've got the estimator right on our website, and I pulled up her vehicle and then pulled up a window a price window for what that would be. And it was more than I quoted her. And I said, well, ma'am, you can see by this. And I explained to her the features and benefits of who they are and what they do. And then the pricing structure and how it works, because it's based on our primary market area. I said, I could charge you more, but I wouldn't feel comfortable about doing it. So how can I earn your business so we can protect your little boy right there? I mean, that's the thing that's most important to me.
It is.
And it has to be about, so I do want to make sure that we talk about this as well. The success that I talk about all the time, and ad nauseum, I talk about winning is important. The winning part is about serving the customer. It's not about gaining the accolades, or I sold X amount of Y or Z. It has nothing to do with that. It has to be about serving the customer. But you'll never make them a customer if they say no to you, because if they say no and leave, they're going to go somewhere else and become someone else's customer. So that's
right.
why I'm so passionate about this right now. I feel like we have to dig in and figure out how to overcome objections. They've been talking about it forever on the variable side, and some of the most talented people in the dealership overcome objections every day as part of their daily ritual.
Yep.
Let's get those people together and let's start working together and have our sales managers teaching our advisors to overcome objections. Let's talk about our finance managers and finance directors teaching our advisors or working with them. I mean, worst case scenario, if a finance manager or sales manager had to take a TO on a set of brakes, they might make a relationship and gain a friend and sell a car in addition to a set of brake pads.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's
Amen.
all about listen, no is a conditioned response most of the time. No doesn't mean no. It means no, I don't have enough information to get a yes. You're talking about a safety item. You're talking about they had kids with them. This is, and you just demonstrated her, you maybe aren't the highest, you're not the lowest. Actually, it shows more, but you're not charging her as much. They need that level of transparency that REPAIRPAL actually brought, or the video MPI, why it's on the lift in the back, showing the gouged rotors and the 2 or 3 millimeter pads, or whatever it is. Those are tools that we need today. But come on, advisors or salespeople, just like they are on the front end, in my opinion, they're customer facing. It's about the customer experience. It's about serving. And we know we talk about this kind of stuff. A lot of times they don't want to, it's like they're timid. And I encountered that even with my own dealership where I go for sure. They're timid to bring something up when it would be a lot easier and palatable for me to, if you just say it with conviction, hey, you need this. These are the reasons why, X, Y, and Z, except I get it. I understand that. Okay. But if you're thinking, well, all the money I have is this, and they're associating with what they're going to say to the customer based upon what they think that it should be. I mean, that's not what it's about, is it?
No, not at all. And I think, so this has been a real focal point that I wish I would have got this aha moment 20 years ago, because our retention numbers would have been even better than what they were at the previous dealerships I worked at. One of the things that, going back to Chicago, we never had a high turnover rate, but when we brought new advisors into the dealership, one of the things that would ultimately always come up at some point in time is like, man, how do you know so many customers? Well, I've been here for 16 years. That would be a good answer, but that's not the answer that I would give you. The answer is, and I wasn't out there writing up customers every day, because as a fixed ops director, that's not my place. That's not my lane. Not that I couldn't do it, but what I did was got introduced to those customers because we dropped the ball. We caused some pain point for the customer, and they wanted to go to the top. And when a customer comes to me, I'm going to listen to their concern, and then I'm going to solve the concern one way or another. We're going to shake hands when we're done, and that allows that customer to come back and see me. Because here's probably the biggest nugget you could take away from this entire conversation we've had. Customers want to return to the dealership, but we as an industry have never given them a reason to return, because we've always been overpriced and least convenient. We take 3 hours to do an oil change. We charge for putting on wiper blades and all this dumb shit that's not customer.
I know, right? That's
right.
That man.
So they want to come back and do business with you. You can just tell them, that we do business honestly, we do business morally, we do business ethically, we are fair price guaranteed, we're providing quality service. All of these things that we do so well, we never talk about, gets customers to come back and do business with you again in the future.
Well, we're talking about them now, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Not just here, not just
Getting fired
here.
up.
Yeah, I know you are. Whew. I'm not talking about just here on WTF. I'm talking about the industry as a whole. And I know we don't have a lot of time left. Let me ask you this. Did you see a difference this NADA versus the last NADA with a focus on fixed operations?
I did. I felt like the vibe was much more positive. It wasn't so doom and gloom. It wasn't, there wasn't a lot of conversations about COVID. And, you know, from the fixed ops world, there is zero excuse for any dealer to be struggling out there today, period. The average age of a pre-owned vehicle has never been as high as it is today, regardless if they had inventory challenges for the last couple of years. The dealer has to heighten their awareness to make sure they're taking care of and servicing their previous customers. So if they sold them a new car 2 years ago, or they sold them a pre-owned car during the pandemic, we need to make sure we're in tune with getting those customers back to our dealership.
That's right, man. I'll tell you what, we're approaching the end of the hour and we just cracked the door. We're just getting started. So we're going to go for another 3 hours. What do you say? No, we can't. No, we can't do that. But Charity, you're going to have to help bring us home here, man. This has been great.
It's a good conversation. It really is. And you know, we're grateful that, you know, you're coming on the show again. And we also got a chance to chat with you briefly at NADA on our NADA special, which will come out as well. And we like to offer our guests an opportunity to say maybe something we missed. I know you got a little bit of a chance to do that earlier, but anything you want to say, you have the floor for a few minutes, Mike. Go for it.
Instill confidence in your team. Instill confidence in your team by setting the benchmarks for the culture and vision of the company, and then making sure that what they're providing every day is mirroring that for your group, for your brand, for your dealer, call it what you want. But we have to get intentional about taking care of customers and making sure when they leave that they know we want to see them again. Like, two of the most important word tracks, I think, for me in the industry, one of them is just one word: welcome. And the other one would be welcome back. If you did welcome them and happen to see that they haven't been here for like 18 months and they were a previous customer that purchased the vehicle or service with you, like, you have to be intentional about saying, hey, thank you. You could go anywhere to get your vehicle service, but there's no better place on the planet than right here with me and my team. So I think customers just want to feel that warm welcome. And then typically they always respond with some type of thank you. So the best part about breaking the ice and overcoming the stigma and perception that we've created as an industry is welcoming a guest to your dealership. And when they're thanking you, it's not only breaking the ice, but it's leveling the playing field and instilling a little bit of trust, because I haven't done a damn thing for the customer yet, but was just polite to them and they're already thanking me. That goes a long way throughout the service experience. That it's very simple. Like I said, there's too many people that make this way too complicated. It's very,
They do, man.
very intentional, and you have to deliver with every customer 100% of the time.
Welcome, shake their hand. I mean, how does it? That's drain bramage. Where do I learn how to do that, Michael? I don't know. I was like, I don't really.
It's so simple.
It is
It's
simple.
so hard. It's so hard.
Let me stop this thing here because it's getting me. Let me ask you this. So, Michael, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, they could go to my website at FixedOPSDoc.com, and that's FixedOPSDoc.com, or they can call me on my cell phone. I'm available all the time. And actually, February is my 30th anniversary with my very first phone number. It's the only one I've ever had. So people can call me anytime they want. And they can call me anything they want after paying attention to this video. But I hope what they do at the end is share it, because there's a lot of people that need to hear this message. And I think that I have a lot of friends in the industry that understand my passion and my purpose, but we need to share the message and get it out there, because this is a respectable industry with great opportunities for so many people. And at the end of the day, we need to fulfill that as
That's
leaders.
Right. That's right.
So they can reach me on my cell phone, Russell, and I'm sorry to go off on a tangent.
Go.
708-744-5425.
One more time.
708-744-5425.
Okay, this is going to be a blinky moment. The mother Tennessee Titan live right here, or recorded by the time everybody sees it. But listen, look, he's been in this transition with fixed op stock. You obviously can gather, if you have it before now, you certainly have now. The guy knows what the heck he's talking about. Reach out to him. Okay. Don't think you're so big above beyond that you can't ask for help. Number one in the country 2 years in a row. I mean, the guy's extensive knowledge. We only covered that much of that much. So reach out to him, like him, love him, share him. Same thing with the WTF, etc. And another very successful What the Fixed Ops in the books. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you,
Thank
Jerry.
you, Mike.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, y'all. Let's just make sure we understand this. The most profitable thing that could be sold at the dealership is 1 hour of labor.